Hello, motorcycle enthusiast. I made a video a few weeks ago talking about how the Yamaha YZF R3 was not just a bike for beginners. And I was starting to get some comments on it. And then a funny thing happened. I went out of town. And while I was out of town, I was looking and responding to some of the comments. And it said uploading video. And it was the same video I'd already uploaded. And so I pressed cancel. And then the video disappeared. So I apologize. I'm going to try to do this again, maybe try to expound a little bit on my reasonings for why I think that this bike is not just a great bike for beginners, but also for people who've been riding for some time. My name is James. I've been riding for 32 years, and this is the smallest displacement bike I've ever owned. Well, except for a MR50 dirt bike that I owned, the very first bike that I ever had. This is the smallest street bike that I've ever owned. Everything was 750 and above, and I really didn't feel the need to have anything smaller. But one of the great things about being a motorcyclist today is that so many of the manufacturers are making bikes to scratch just about any itch that you could possibly imagine. And it's a great time to be a motorcycle enthusiast. I worry about some of the manufacturers. How long can they keep up making these great bikes with the economy the way it is? And maybe some of them won't get sold and they'll stop making them. But right now, if there's something you want to do with a bike, you can find the right bike for you. And that's one of my main points, is that there is no the best bike. I'm going to tech school so I can get a certificate to work on bikes, and so many times there's arguments over, oh, Kawasaki's the best, the ZX14 is the fastest bike. No, the Suzuki Hayabusa is the best bike, it's the fastest, it's the best. Kawasaki stinks. You know what, I just don't care. I don't care about those arguments. I stay away from them because I think every manufacturer puts out bikes that are best in its class. I wouldn't hesitate to buy a bike from any of the big four Japanese manufacturers, and even expand that into some of the European makers like Triumph. They make some great bikes. So I'm not really brand loyal, and I actually have a fondness for Kawasaki, but somehow I'm currently riding two Yamahas. So, and the reason that I have two Yamahas is because one Yamaha doesn't scratch every itch that I want it to scratch. So the Yamaha R3 is a great bike which does about 90% of everything that I want it to do superbly. It's not the bike for somebody that spends all your time on the freeway, because if all you're doing is riding down the freeway, it's going to go faster than the speed limit for sure. But is it the best tool? No, it's not really. I mean, there's better bikes if all you want to do is go down the freeway. And, you know, if you're one of these people that thinks there's no replacement for displacement, well, in an all-out freeway contest of speed, the R3 is going to lose. I mean, that's not what it's meant for. But what it does really well is it carves up the corners and the twisties like you just can't imagine. It is so much fun. I've taken it to the hill country, to the Twisted Sisters, and going through those corners on this bike, you can just throw it around through those corners like nobody's business. And if you know how to keep the bike in the power band, it's really not a problem. It's easy to run away from bikes of bigger displacement. It's all about the rider. And I'm not saying that I'm the best rider in the world, but I can outrun most people on my R3 if you're going to take me down a twisty road. And are there going to be people better than me? Absolutely. I know one of them who's been riding for considerably longer than me, and it doesn't matter what bike you put him on, he's gonna outrun you through the twisties. So it's not just all about displacement. It's about rider experience. It's about the maneuverability, the way that you can throw the bike through the corners and make it do what you want it to do. So for me, the R3 is the perfect tool for doing what I love to do best, which is going fast through the twisties. Now, the reason that I got this big bike right here that is filling up the whole screen, it's the Yamaha YZF R, was because the R3 doesn't go down the freeway quite as well, and I'd like to take my wife with me occasionally. And so, being the big fat ass that I am, I don't want to throw her on the R3 on top of what I'm already weighing. So this bike does a lot better down the freeway, and I can throw a top box on it. My wife can lean up against it. She feels safe and secure, and it's all good. So I love this bike too, but I don't consider either one of these to be quote unquote beginner or intermediate or expert level bikes. There is no such thing. There's beginner, intermediate, and expert riders. And the rider is going to make all the difference about what you get out of your bike. It's just that simple. There's nothing else that you can do about it. You can throw all the money you want to in with power commanders, bigger pipes. You can beef up the suspension. You can throw all kinds of money at a bike, and it's gonna add up to nothing if you can't use a bike to its full potential. So I was gonna just run through a couple of the things that I've done with this bike. Of course, like I said, I got the Traxion suspension from Jesse at Yamaha R3 Racing. I got stainless steel brake lines. I got racing brake pads on it. I also wrapped the whole bike with a carbon fiber because I wasn't too particularly happy with the blue and gray theme that it had going on. I may be from Arlington, Texas, but the cowboy colors just don't do it for me, really. I also got a Kaufman exhaust. It's just a slip-on, but it makes the bike sound really good. And with the air delete, the air block offs that I did, my bub dyno tells me that it's just a little bit stronger than it was before I did that. And maybe I'm crazy, but it feels good to me. So I like it. I like the way it sounds. I like the way it looks. It took off weight off the bike, so I'm happy with it. I also, coming around to the rear of the bike, I did the TST integrated tail light. It has the integrated turn signals on it, and if you want to find out about that, there's plenty of videos online. And yes, I left the original turn signals on there because I feel like I'm most vulnerable to being rear-ended on the bike, and that's not something that I want. Another cool thing that I was able to customize is Yamaha offers this expandable back pack thing that I put on the rear seat, and then in replacement of the back seat I can unzip it, it expands, and it's awesome. Every single racing bike should have one of these. I mean, it irritates me that I can't get one for my YZF-R because I love this thing. There's just some things that you really want to carry with you that there's no place for it. Especially on sport bikes, there's no room under the seat. There's no place to carry anything. Carry your glasses, a thing of water, something to wipe your face mask off with, just anything. Put your insurance in there. It is an awesome accessory, genuine Yamaha accessory. I got a Saddleman gel seat for it, which I like a lot. I got the genuine Yamaha R3 tank protector, which I like, but it was quite pricey. It's ridiculous that should cost $50. It's stupid. Okay, but I wanted it, so I got it. What else did I do? I put these mirror extenders on, which enables me to see further past my elbows. I know there are tons of people I've seen online complaining when manufacturers make actual functioning mirrors, but it drives me crazy. They say, oh, they stick out too far. But you know what? I don't care what it looks like. I want to see behind me. And maybe you're some kid, maybe you don't weigh 220 pounds like I do, and maybe stock mirrors work for you if you're skinny as a bean, but they don't work for me, and it drives me nuts. So this isn't a perfect solution. It does stick out further than if they were just sitting there as they were stock, So I like it. It helps me. I like bar end mirrors, but the one thing that I hate about bar end mirrors is that they stick out so far on the motorcycle, and they're usually not, how do you say, the most sturdiest things in the whole world. They're vulnerable, and they seem to be a magnet for everybody that gets close to your motorcycle. They just bump into them, and they end up twisting them so that you have to twist them back. And once you've twisted them with them all the way tightened down, they start not tightening down so well. And so I love the view that I get with bar end mirrors. I don't love how they stick out. I don't love how they seem to, people bump into them all the time. I got these shorty levers. They're adjustable. They're from Ride It. I found them on Amazon, and they work really well. They're beautiful. They're just as good as the more expensive levers, and I haven't had any issues with them. Another accessory that I got for it was these little things right here. And sorry for this, but let me walk over here for just a second, and I'll show you what these do. You grab one of these little bars here, you stick it in here, and this is obviously the wrong side. Let me do it on the other side. Sorry, this was not planned. But you stick it in here like this, and then you can put some saddlebags on the back, and it keeps them from bumping into the rear tire, the wheel. It keeps everything safe and out of the way. They come with saddlebags that are made particularly for this mount where they slide onto this, but I already had some Cortec bags that I'd spent some good money on and kind of like them. And really, if I just throw them over the back and this keeps them out of the way, it's not really that big of a deal. I didn't want to spend again to get those. I'm going to leave that on there. I had a quick shifter for it, and I took it off because it really didn't work so well. Had too many problems with it, so poop, off that went. And that's about it. I don't want to get too lengthy with this because I know people make a lot of videos about their bikes, and it just turns out to be kind of boring. These are some Avon tires that I bought to replace the stock tires. The stock tires work great when it's hot outside. When it gets cold, they're not quite as sticky as I want, but I think I have 7,000 miles on the bike now in just over a year, and they're still, the original tires are on there. So I like a good balance between tires that stick and tires that last some amount of time. Tires don't do me any good if you have to replace them every 3,000 miles. Every time I change the oil, I don't want to be changing the tires as well. But it's gotten a little bit easier for me since I don't have to pay $100 to put on a set of tires and mount and balance them. I bought a Nomar tire changer, and I'm excited about that. I just have to get a floor mount for it so I can actually put it to use. And this other bike over here, this is a bike that I didn't even know existed. I used to have a Yamaha Silverwing, and I actually liked it. I know a lot of bike people in America look down on scooters, but they are so practical. I took mine to college. It had a back case on it. It had room underneath the seat. I could take everything I needed anywhere I needed to go. I could go grocery shopping with it. Ended up selling it to get a different bike because it wasn't the perfect bike. It wasn't the right tool for me at the time because it was the only bike I had, and I couldn't really take both me and my wife on it. But I got this for $2,000, and so I couldn't really pass it up. And the reason I got it was because I didn't want to put so many miles on my R3 and my FZ6R. I drive over 100 miles a day round trip to get back and forth to work. And so for $2,000, I could, plus a little bit, just doing getting the maintenance up to date on it. but it's the right tool for driving me to work every single day and not putting miles on my FC6R or my Yamaha R3. So the main thing that I want to say about the R3 is I love it. I think it's a great bike. I enjoy riding it. I enjoy the immense number of aftermarket parts that you can add to it. It's not just a beginner's bike. You just need the right bike for your type of driving, whatever you want to do with it. For me, if I want to go have fun, if I want to just drive across town and get through traffic easily, Yamaha R3 is great. If I want to go ride a bunch of twisty, carvy roads that are here close to the house, the Yamaha R3 is great. If I want to take a freeway trip, I'm probably not going to be on that bike. But it's a great bike. It's not just a beginner's bike. And that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll be posting more videos.